Ever notice how some women don't realize what they had until it's already gone? Here's something most people won't tell you. When a woman loses a truly good man, there's often a specific pattern that follows. And it's not what you'd expect. It's not immediate regret. It's not dramatic realization. It's quieter than that. And it usually happens in stages she doesn't see coming. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to walk you through 4 things that tend to happen when a woman loses a good man and doesn't realize it right away. Not theory, not wishful thinking, just patterns I've seen play out over years of working with people navigating relationships, breakups, and what comes after. Some of this might surprise you. Some of it might feel familiar. Either way, by the end, you'll understand female psychology in this situation better than most men ever will. Before we go further, let me ask you something simple. If this topic resonates with you, just comment yes. If it doesn't, comment no. I read every comment, and it helps me know what's landing. And if you're finding value in this kind of content, I'd appreciate it if you'd like this video and subscribe. It's a small thing, but it helps more men find these conversations. That's all I'll say about that. Let's get into it. Here's what often happens first. She moves on. Sometimes quickly. Sometimes it looks confident from the outside. New guy, new energy, new attention, and for a while it works. But here's the thing most people don't talk about. According to research from the University of Texas, rebound relationships often serve a specific psychological function. They're not about finding someone better. They're about avoiding the discomfort of being alone with the decision she just made. Think about it like this. You've probably seen it happen. A woman ends a relationship with a solid, stable man. Maybe he wasn't exciting enough. Maybe the spark felt like it faded. Maybe she convinced herself there was something better out there. Within weeks, sometimes days, she's with someone new. And from the outside, it looks like she's thriving. But what's actually happening underneath is different. The new relationship isn't filling the gap the good man left. It's covering it. And that coverage is temporary. Pew Research has found that women in their 30s and 40s often report a pattern of seeking novelty after long-term relationships, only to realize later that novelty and compatibility aren't the same thing. The rebound gives her validation, it gives her distraction, but it doesn't give her what a good man gave her, which was safety, consistency, and someone who actually saw her. This is more common than you think, and it's not about her being shallow. It's about her not yet understanding what she traded away. The second thing that happens is even more revealing. She starts comparing. Not right away, but eventually. Maybe it's 3 months in, maybe it's 6. She's with the new guy and something small happens. He forgets something she mentioned. He doesn't check in the way she's used to. He reacts to conflict differently. And for the first time, she notices. The good man she left used to do that differently. He used to remember, he used to be steady, he used to care in ways that didn't require her to ask. There's actually a term for this in relationship psychology. It's called post-decision dissonance. And according to research published by the American Psychological Association, it's the emotional tension people feel after making a major decision, especially when they start noticing what they gave up. For women who leave good men, this stage can be uncomfortable because now she's not just noticing surface-level differences, she's noticing character differences. The new guy might be more exciting, more spontaneous, more emotionally intense, but he's also less reliable, less thoughtful, less present in the ways that actually matter over time. And she starts to realize something she didn't expect. Excitement fades, but character doesn't. You've probably experienced this from the other side. You were the good man. You showed up. You were consistent. You cared. And maybe she didn't see it as valuable at the time. But once she's with someone who doesn't do those things naturally, the contrast becomes impossible to ignore. This is where the regret starts to form. Not loud, not dramatic, just quiet, nagging awareness that maybe she made a mistake. If you're finding value so far, let me know in the comments. Now here's the third thing, and this one's important. She notices how you've moved on, or more specifically, how you're not chasing her anymore. When a woman loses a good man and he actually lets her go, something shifts. She expected, on some level, that you'd fight for her, that you'd reach out, that you'd try to convince her to come back, but you didn't, and that silence says something she wasn't prepared to hear. It says you respected her decision. It says you have boundaries. It says you're not going to beg someone to see your value. And according to data collected from Reddit relationship forums and analyzed by relationship researchers, one of the most common themes women express after leaving good men is the surprise at how quickly he moved forward. Not moved on to someone else necessarily, but moved forward emotionally. He's not posting about her, he's not bitter, he's just living his life, and that bothers her more than she thought it would, because it forces her to confront something uncomfortable. If you were really as devastated as she assumed you'd be, you'd still be trying, but you're not, and that makes her question whether she overestimated her importance in your life, or worse, whether she underestimated yours and hers. I've seen this play out dozens of times. The woman reaches out months later, not dramatically, just a casual text, "Hey, how have you been?" And what she's really asking is, do you still think about me? Do you still care? Did I matter? And when you respond calmly, briefly, respectfully, but without the emotional weight she expected, it deepens the dissonance even further. This is the point where many women start to genuinely reflect. Not because they're manipulative, but because your absence has created space for clarity she didn't have before. The fourth thing that happens is where it all comes together. She starts to see the bigger picture, and this is the part that takes the longest because it requires her to step outside her own narrative and look at the relationship honestly. What she thought was boredom might have actually been stability. What she thought was lack of passion might have actually been emotional maturity. What she thought was settling might have actually been partnership. According to a study published by the National Institutes of Health, women in midlife often report a shift in what they value in relationships. Traits like emotional availability, consistency, and integrity become significantly more attractive than they were in earlier years. And the women who left good men in their 20s or 30s often describe a moment, sometimes years later, where they realized they weren't ready to appreciate what they had. Not because the man was perfect, but because he was good, and good is rare. Here's what that looks like in real life. She's older now, maybe a few years, maybe more. She's been through a couple more relationships, she's seen what's actually out there, and one day something reminds you of you, a song, a place, a conversation, and she realizes with full clarity that you were the kind of man she should have kept. Not because you were flashy, not because you were intense, but because you were solid, and solid is what lasts. Still with me? Comment 1 if this already makes sense. She starts asking herself questions she didn't ask before. Questions like, why did I think I needed more than what he gave me? Why did I confuse quiet strength with lack of passion? Why did I mistake his consistency for predictability, as if that was a bad thing? And here's where the psychology gets really interesting. According to research from Harvard's relationship lab, people often don't recognize the value of secure attachment until they've experienced its absence. In other words, she didn't know what safety felt like until she spent time with men who didn't provide it. She didn't know what emotional maturity looked like until she dated men who couldn't regulate themselves. She didn't know what respect looked like until she was with someone who didn't offer it naturally. And now, looking back, she sees you differently, not through the lens of what was missing, but through the lens of what was there all along. You weren't trying to be perfect, you were trying to be present. You weren't trying to sweep her off her feet every day, you were trying to build something real. And she didn't value it then because she didn't understand it yet. This is one of the hardest truths about relationships. Sometimes people leave not because you weren't enough, but because they weren't ready to see what enough actually looks like. And by the time they are, you're already moved on. Now, I want to be clear about something. This isn't about waiting for someone to come back. This isn't about holding on to hope that she'll realize her mistake and return. That's not the point. The point is understanding the process, because when you understand it, you stop taking it personally. You stop wondering what you did wrong. You stop questioning your value, because her inability to see your worth wasn't a reflection of you. It was a reflection of where she was, and that's something you can't control. You can only control how you show up, how you treat people, how you honor yourself. And if someone can't see that, they're not ready for what you offer. Not yet, maybe not ever. And that's okay, because the right person won't need time to figure out that you're valuable. They'll know, and they'll stay. Let me bring this together. When a woman loses a good man, what happens next isn't always immediate. It's not a movie scene where she shows up at your door in the rain, realizing she made a mistake. It's quieter than that. It's a slow dawning, a gradual awareness, a series of small moments where she compares what she has now to what she had with you. And over time, if she's honest with herself, she starts to see the truth, that you weren't the problem, you were actually the solution, but she wasn't ready to receive it. And here's what I want you to take from this. If you've been the good man in this scenario, the one who got left, the one who didn't understand why being solid wasn't enough, I need you to hear this. You didn't fail. You were exactly who you needed to be, and the fact that someone couldn't see it doesn't diminish it. It just means they weren't in a place to appreciate what real partnership looks like. That's on them, not you. And the beauty of being the good man, especially as you get older, is that your value doesn't decrease, it increases, because fewer men have what you have. Fewer men know how to show up consistently. Fewer men understand that love isn't just a feeling, it's a series of choices. And you've been making those choices, whether anyone noticed or not. So if you're in a place right now where you're questioning yourself, where you're wondering if you should have been different, more exciting, more intense, let me stop you right there. You don't need to be more. You need to be around people who understand what you already are. And those people exist. They're out there, and they're looking for exactly what you offer. What's one thing you've learned about yourself with age? I'd genuinely like to hear. Drop it in the comments. Thank you for spending these 10 minutes with me. If this resonated, I'd love for you to subscribe. There's more of this coming. Real talk, no hype, just truth. I'll see you in the next one.